Right, hi everybody. We are week 7, and I'm hoping and praying that this thing works to record. Been a bad couple of weeks, hardware-wise with the rig, really simple stuff. Should started something I shouldn't have without the correct tools. So anyway, that's all sorted, and now I'm having problems recording in the way that I would like. So anyway, we're trying NVIDIA game capture, whatever you want to call it. Hopefully this is going well. I did a quick test; it seems to be going fine. So week 7. Um, we are LeMans afternoon track. The race time is still 60 minutes, still 75% fuel, so nothing's changed in the way of fuel tank. What we're going to do is we're going to load up Daytona, which is the last low downforce configuration that we've gone through. Now these gears here, I've already pre-done them. This track's way too long, and don't want this to run more than an hour. So this is a known good configuration for me. And so what I've done is loaded the gears, and that's all I've done. I am going to put the clutch plate to 2 though. I'm not going to leave it at, in fact, we'll leave it at 1. So everything else is the same as Daytona Road. So what we're going to do is we are going to save this nice and early. We're actually going to, I've already done a setup, but I'm going to call this stream. The reason why I've done a setup is that this was the last chance of recording, otherwise I was just going to put it up on the forum. But anyway, we are good. Let's crack on. Pram toys nearly went out of the pram very big time. So oh, that was the other thing I wanted to change. Just move that out of the way. Get that up and out of the way so you can see the dials. Right. Right, so things are going to be quite warm around here. I would recommend doing quite a bit of testing because you really need to know this track really well. I think it's been on the service for long enough now. I think most people know it in any case, but you definitely want to get in here with different weather conditions, because as ever we're going to have different conditions, no doubt. We're going to have some really cold races and some crazy hot races probably. So yeah. Right, so when you're using this track, especially certain parts like down this straight, you want to try and keep on the white line in the middle. It's the hump of the road, and you're just going to get better speed doing it that way. So what we've been doing for the previous weeks, we are just going to run this out and then just see how we go in the way of tyres. I didn't even them out all the way around, but we're going to be stopping anyway, so we'll sort it out. I know that it's essentially all the tyres down to the lowest and up 1 on the front right hand tyre through my setup work this week or weekend. So centre of the track again. And then we're going to brake just on the knuckle. And off we go. So I can feel the back end monitor come through there. But as ever, you want to try and brake in a straight line, especially on this kind of circuit, because we're going to be trimming the car out as much as we can. Trying to keep it as stable as we can, but equally as ever, you need to get the most effective braking in a straight line. So with this setup being from Daytona, quite a few more corners than Daytona, so we've got a much higher variation in corner type, so this is going to need more setup work than Daytona, as you can imagine. But we've even got a taller gear than what we're using in Daytona. So all the weight on this car is all the downforce is at the front on this car, and we've got ballast on a -40, which is how I left it for Daytona. So I can definitely feel that weight at the back. So it's nice in certain parts, but but not in others. Let's see if you're in the right gear, I suppose. 100, 110. So go wide, come across, and brake in a straight line. And I'm just going to start braking as we change the surface there from dark to grey. Keep it flat through here, nice and flat, and pick a point and just drag the brake in and then throttle out. I think we're really close to an off track there, really close. So again, down the centre of the road, save a little bit of time. And then we're going to start making our way over to the left, ready for the braking into the first chicane. Yeah, well, that inside of that final left-hand turn, you've got to be careful that you don't ride it too much, because you can get an off track there. I like to carry third in there just to keep the car stable, then down to second and power out. Now we did feel the back end wanted to get a bit lively as we went into Mulsanne corner, which is what we're going to be braking for in a moment, so see if it does it again or if the tyres are warmed up a bit. I think I just got the car a little bit better, more slowed down that time. Now I'm trying to think from the last time that I came around here, with this fuel and the time, I've got a feeling that you have to fuel save on one of the two stints. There's one pit stop. And depending on the weather, depends on whether the LMP1s push the second lap or pushes onto another lap. So, and obviously it depends on the quality of the LMP1 driver as to whether it's quick enough to get there as well. So it'd be interesting to see where we are, whether we do need, it's normally just the one track, sorry, the one stint with a little bit of fuel saving. Right, nice and tight here. That little bit of weight at the back does feel quite nice actually. Just helps with the rotation through the high speed stuff. Okay, down to 36.4. Good, good, good. Just do this first part of the lap, I think. So start to brake at the change of surface to make sure you get the speed down, and just flat chat it out. Okay. Right, so let's have a look at the tyres. First of all, like I say, I know it's soft all the way, soft-est all the way around. That can go down. Now I know that one comes up one, so should sort that out. Definitely number one on the old wing. I'm just going to make that minus 20. I did put that back to a positive value actually on the Saturday before, but it did want some rotation, a little bit more rotation. Just sort out this imbalance here, which I think the tyre pressures cause. Let's have a look through. So good, nothing on the back there. We don't want anything to get in the way of traction, but I'm just going to just drop, see if we can get away with one more click on the back, because if we go any lower there, we're going to get, you can see there we're getting a warning of the car being too low at the back. But probably nothing there I would want to change, except I want to go up on both of those by one click. Now 90 felt nice, so preload of 90 newtons gives us a balance. We're trying to get an equal pressure that when we put our foot on the throttle, that both rear tyres spin up equally. That's what we're looking for as much as possible. So yes. Now the third spring, I'm going to drop that a little as well. So that's the amount of distance, 74.6 millimeters, before the third spring is sort of engaged, and it then starts to stabilize the chassis from the front. I'm just going to drop that gap just a little bit more so it gets in a little bit earlier. Right. So we're on 79% forward brake pressure. And with this trike, you want to be really careful that you don't get any aero damage, because it will kill your straight line speed. Yeah, so as ever, we just want a good, stable car, and you need to tune to how you prefer it. So some people don't want the tail to be leading them too much. Some want the front of the car, but that's all about personal preference. There's going to be a point where the car gets to be like a neutral tight, if that makes sense. I like to have it so that the car rotates a little bit, but I don't want it to be crazy. That's why I've turned down that minus 40 to a minus 20. That means that the ballast is slightly more rear than front. Now with us engaging the third spring, that might negate some of that ballast movement, so we may go back a little bit, but we'll just see what we get. That felt really nice. Back end wanted to follow the front. It's the way I like to explain it, where you just get what feels like a natural and balanced rotation in the car. So we're on full traction control, being an afternoon default. Getting a bit too frisky there, I think. Felt like I didn't have control through there, so pay attention to that a bit more next time. I don't think there's going to be too much to change for this week because of the nature of this, how this car was set up for the last time. So so we want to keep away from that wall on the outside there. And then change down, keep tight, throttle up, off the gas, turn in, throttle up. This is probably going to be more of a how to drive the circuit kind of demo. So I really don't think we're going to be changing too much. Do not take the inside of that last one on the left too much. What I've been finding is that when I've been driving here, you take too much out of that, you beach on the underside of the car. And then that's your lap gone and probably about 10k, 10 to 15k off your top end. Right, getting some good traction out of there. So that right hand that we've just gone through is Tête Rouge. It is one of the more important corners on this circuit. You need to really nail a technique that you can replicate on every lap, because that is one of the key places for slowdowns. And you want to try and not be the guy that gets those. Mr. Ulmer is John Ulmer. Yeah, loves that corner. But he's going to send it a Christmas card for Christmas. But yeah, try and get it so that you can hit it each time and every time, and then your speed will hopefully go through that. But yeah, as ever, the corner, if you're coming out of corner to a long straight, the more speed you can carry through that exit and carry on to the straight will always give you better top speed before you hit the brakes again. Also corner. Now you can take quite a bit of that inside curb, but yes, you guessed it, there's a slowdown if you take too much of it. And these are the little experimental games that you need to play and find out where the limits are. Because trying to clear a slowdown is really problematic when you've got guys around you, because you don't want to slow down as much as you forget that they still want you to. That was a better corner through there. Good. Come down 2 gears this time. So I purposely for the first time stayed in 5th going through there, because the back of the so if you think you can just floor it through there going through the Porsche curves, you just spinning the rear tyres up too much. So you need to put it into a higher gear so you're not spinning the tyres. So there is throttle control needed to go through that. Now we would have done a better time if it wasn't for that. better than last time. On that last right-hander, I've tried to get to the inside as much as I can, but as ever, there's limits on the inside as well as there are on the out. So I like to try and get to the inside as much as I can, but set it up as far back as you can so that you can try and minimise the corner. You want a high minimum corner speed. Close to enough track there on the inside of that final part of the turn. Into the road again. Just finish this lap out. Hopefully we don't do anything too stupid to waste that gain we're getting there. So you can see there I held on to second gear quite a bit towards the end and only grabbed the first when I was turning the corner, so you just don't want to go banging down through the gears if the car lets you. You want to keep the back end in check as much as you can. That's another reason why you would want to try and keep in a straight line as much as you can while braking. Okay, all this is going well. So this time we're going to stay in fifth. Let's stay in fifth this time. Stay to the inside as much as you can. Trying to keep the tyres dulled down. Fourth, top of the rotation, stay to the inside, throttle up. Off the gas inside, throttle up gently. You can see we lost a bit of time going through there, but we need to get there through there cleanly. Lost quarter of a second. So yeah, we should have been going a little bit quicker. It's 35.5. Could is possible. So, so what's going to happen? So the top gear, there is headroom in it, and the reason why there's headroom in it is because as you burn the fuel off, the quicker that you're going to get at the end of the straights, and you're likely to be slipstreaming somebody as well. So you need more in the top gear, not just to for it to top out at the longest stretch, but you need it so that when the car gets lighter, when you're behind somebody, all of these have an effect on what kind of top gear or top speed you can achieve. Now to me, I think we just had about enough of the grip at the back, so I don't want to increase the decel. I don't want to put the clutch plate up because then we're going to start sort of, unless we've got really good throttle control to come out of the corners, we're going to be slipping the tyres a bit more. So what I would say is that if you go into a cooler session, you can either increase the clutch plate, bring this down to 1, you can bring it up to like 2 or 3, or just keep turning the number up on the XL, and that'll do this. Increasing the number on the XL will do fine. I'm happy with the 5 on the decel. I'm not feeling that because the gearbox isn't, or the diff isn't helping. It just feels like it's got a really nice balance on that, to be honest. I think I'll go put a 30 on the back there, and I'm going to leave that on a 50. Let's go with a 40. Let's just see what that gives. Actually, before we do that, A or B, I want to take that to 90. Oh. see if we can get a little bit more direction change. So 70 felt okay. There isn't really anything that I want to change on this. Now if it was a different time of day, let's say if this was a morning session, we could make the car a lot more responsive. The only thing that we're really playing with here is things like ballast, third spring and the front ARB realistically, because we've got the gears sorted out. Well, on the first lap out that felt better on the initial turn-in for the Tête Rouge because of the front ARB. So the front ARB stiffens the side-to-side, the lateral tension between the two axles, which gives us a better, sharper turn-in. So let's see how it does under braking. So what can sometimes happen is that if you stiffen the front too much, when you come to brake, you can start to load the tyres up a bit too much and cause a little bit of locking. So the question is, have we got too much turn in on the front now? That's the question. Right, this will be interesting. That felt okay. The one thing that I find is that when it comes to the third spring gap, the less of a gap that you get, the tighter the car feels. So that's why I'm a little bit, I don't want to go too tight with it, is that I want there still to be an element of movement in the car. That felt much better. That was much better. It's going to be that last corner there where it's going to be where if the front of the car is too stiff, that you're going to feel it more than anywhere else. And the fronts may want to lock a little, but felt good. Went in a bit too hot, so we'll get into fifth. So get gear down to rescue ourselves, and then we'll stay where we need to. Down into fourth, stay tight, power up. Yeah, I was going to say, I think we just got away with that, so you really need to keep two tyres on the correct side of the road there, or else you'll get pinged for a slowdown. You will see lots of guys get pinged for slowdowns there. Right, okay. Forward chicanes felt completely different, as in a good way, so I think the changes we've got here are working well. That's enough, Joe.
They say you cut the course. You had to slow down and give up the time gained.
Okay, I'll let you into a little bit of a secret if you've not done the research on it yet. So we can see 1.3, 1.4 at the top. So I'm going to change down, just going to let that go to say 0.9 and throttle back up again. And then by the time we get up to speed, that'll have gone. So that's just me just getting a little bit too aggressive going through that first complex, causing all of that. Now if you do want a bit more rotation at the back, there's two ways to get it. So there's so you can either use the throttle to get a little bit more rotation, which would increase the XL by 1. But you've got to be careful about using your tyres through here. Or the second way is ballast. And I'd move that as in increments of 10 millimeters, which is the lowest increment it gives you in the sim. Because it's going to be really delicate as to where you tune to, with it being a low downforce car. Also, we can use a little bit of brake. So I've just done 2 clicks backwards on the brake bias, so that it says minus 0.5 in the lower left hand in car adjustments. That equates to making our 59 to a 58.5. A bit too early that. Right. See if we can get through that first section without getting a slot down this time. Find you'll get into a rhythm for that first chicane. Because you can gain quite a bit of time through there if you're too timid. But it's just us ever finding the right speed to go through. No, I'm too cautious through there, so I don't want to get a slot down. Now, when I first started to come around this circuit, I could get through there without using any brake. But I get pinged for an off-track once in 3 because I wasn't using some method to control my speed, as opposed to just going, yeah, that's right, turn in, and then off you go. But I'd try and regulate your speed with a slight drag on the brake. Right. So we can see the top tyre pressures are okay. We're up 1 on the right, front right, but as the stint goes on, they do get a little bit closer. So again, that inside right hand corner there is probably as close to the edge as you want to go before you get off track. I'm not starting to turn in early enough for that Mulsanne corner. So yeah, you can see I'm quite happy as it is, to be honest. Maybe 1 more click rearward on the ballast. Obviously the other side effect of having more rearward ballast is that it does give it a little bit more pressure on the back tyres or towards the rear of the car, which is going to help with ultimately with traction coming out of corners. But the amount that we're going to be moving it around isn't severe enough that I think it would make any great deal of difference. It's just more a case of it'll help in a small amount. So you saw then I was counter steering coming out of that left-hander. If you get on it too much, then you really need to check how much throttle you take through there, because you have guys sailing past you while you're busy trying to sort out not going in the wall. Right, okay. So that is, I like that. So what we'll do, we'll save that and we'll make the adjustment to the brake, not brake pressure, but brake percentage. So I'll bring that down to 59. I'm going to go back one click as well. Right. Actually, we're on 95. I'm on 95. So what you could do, if you do find that the car's turning in a little bit too sharp, is just bring it down a click at a time until it feels like it's more balanced for you. Yeah, keep the caster where it is, because we've got quite a few high-speed turns where we are. And like I said before, there isn't really anything else my personal would want to change. We're on maximum traction control for the time of day. We need that. We need as much as aid as we can. So if you feel that the car is a little bit too tight, we can reduce the decel by one click, and that'll just loosen up the car off throttle. So this is when you're not using the throttle. Or if it's not when if you're turning in and it's not turning enough for you, and you're on the gas, then we're looking at ballast and also looking at the XL diff. So one last time, let's take it out again. Then we'll call it quits at that. The one thing that I would say as well for around here, what's made a difference to the way that the car feels for me around here this time around, is having your wheel set up correctly. Now, I'm lucky that I've got a direct drive wheel, and the more that you learn about what makes the wheel feel more natural is the best way that you can then go ahead and control the car. So you don't necessarily want it with all the force in the world, which I can't do anyway. So what I've been doing is making sure that the damping is correct. So damping means that when you turn the wheel, that you have not just a force resistance, but what it does is it's helping you not to overshoot the target of where you're turning to. So as I'm turning in here and then here, it's not making the wheel too easy to turn. So when you do turn to the right, you're not going past the point of where your brain is saying turn. You know, we don't work in percentages, but if your brain is saying let's turn 15%, you don't want it to go to 20 to 25%. You want it to hit the 20%, 15%, sorry. So you want to make sure that there's enough damping, but not too much, that it feels comfortably, so that your brain can comfortably get to the percentage that you're naturally going to turn the wheel to. Now, we also have friction, thankfully, on direct drive. So friction is almost like the power steering element of things. So it just makes it feel like you're more connected to like that mechanical, physical connection in the overall feel of the shaft there on the driving shaft. So I would experiment if you guys got a direct drive wheel. Turn down the power a little bit and then play with trying to get the right tone and tune for the way that the wheel should feel. Because I feel like I've got so much more control and confidence than the last time that we came around here. Now, last two times we came around here, well, even more times than that, I've always had that direct drive wheel, but with settling down and actually paying attention to what the controls of your wheel does, makes a world of difference. And if you got some of the higher end belt wheels, like the Fanatec stuff, or the higher end of the off-the-shelf market, then I'm sure there's still some settings that you can play with to try and get that, but you don't want to take too much away from the off-the-shelf wheels, because you're taking away, they just don't have the performance to give it to you. So right, let's see if we can stay clean through the first section. Keep getting closer and closer to that right hand side knuckle, the inside part of the turn. So yeah, centre of the line. Now my little Leo Bodner control that I have tells me that we're losing time. It's a little bit more precise, got another decimal point. No, we did lose the time through the Porsche curve, so losing time again. I'd say that was about on the limit. I'd stay there for the Mulsanne corner. I won't want to go any closer than that at all. Because I think it's like a 2-second slowdown for that one. It's pretty substantial. That's certainly nearly enough. Yeah, 95 was a bit too much for that, I think. 95 front ARB. Right. A bit leery, but we got through there in decent time. Well, yeah, it's been fantastic. Right. It's surprising how you can go around the lap and you can still hit within a tenth of a second. It's great, isn't it? Right, okay guys, I think that's where we are for this week. So it's just about the balancing act. There isn't really much change. Let's save on that. Not really much to change, so we're looking at ballast. Probably the third spring where it is, it's just going to make it feel a bit tighter. The front ARB, so ballast front ARB, and then diff really. If you do come into a colder session, you can turn up the XL and decel. I think that should be enough for this, for all that we need this week. So yeah, so I don't know where we are next week. I think we've got I don't think we've got too many more morning sessions or late evening. I think we're pretty heavy with afternoon sessions. So that's where we're off this week. Hopefully, guys, that's interesting enough for you, and I'll see you soon. Take care.